Alright, what's going on? So, I'm going to create a, a series expanding on this book that I wrote called The Intuitive Chef, which is a guide for making cooking easier in the kitchen. So, first and foremost, my name is Brandon Johnson. In terms of cooking, which is mostly what this channel will most likely be about, I've been teaching myself to cook for the past 6 or 7 or so years, and like cooking from scratch. It's actually been a part of my soul's journey, learning to cook. And so working with my ancestors, working with my soul in the kitchen has been has taken up a huge portion of these past few years of my adult life. It's been a lot of tears in the kitchen, a lot of tears, a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, but I'm finally getting myself to a point within these last 2 years where I'm able to actively just kind of channel out recipes and actually knowing what I'm doing with the ingredients in the kitchen. So this guide that I wrote, like I said, it's called The Intuitive Chef, and it's mainly about how to incorporate God in the kitchen. And when I say that, I mean like working with your ancestors, picking up on what they're saying to do, whether it's coming to cleaning the kitchen or just, cooking simple recipes. How to not be so frantic in there and not be so overwhelmed by everything that's going on, as well as allowing cooking to be a practical spiritual practice for somebody. The guide itself is meant for anybody. A person that's been cooking for years, a person that's looking for inspiration to get in the kitchen and start cooking, and even for somebody that doesn't know how to cook but is interested in working with their ancestors but doesn't know exactly where to begin with. So, like I said, this is gonna be a series that is going to expand on each chapter in that book and provide a lot more clarity, because it's a pretty small guide. So I'm gonna take the time to really dive into each section and talk about them in more depth. All right, so, and I'm gonna jump around the book too. I'm not gonna go in order. I'm gonna jump around it based on whichever portion needs to be talked about the most at that time. And right now, where we're going to begin is chapter 4, which is titled Love and Cooking. All right, so let's get started. Emotions in the kitchen. The final result of the food that you cook is going to be a direct reflection of your mental and emotional state. When your mind and your heart are holding on to negative thoughts and negative emotions, they begin to bleed out and affect the molecular structure of the water that's in the food. If you don't know this by now, yes, the words that you speak over top of water, your auric field is going to affect the water that's around you. So if it's affecting the water that's within you, it speaking over top of the water, things such as like, I love myself, I'm so grateful for this, that, and the third, allows you to drink that water and drink the molecules that have been changed within it. So if you're speaking negatively about things, if you're thinking negatively about things, and you're having those negative emotions and this type of stuff is pouring into the water, well, if everything is at least 70 to 75% water, why would it not affect that in the same way? So now that you've brought ingredients, pots, and pans into your auric field, they're now subject to what you are projecting out around you. And it is extremely important that you come into the kitchen calm, relaxed, and in a space of love. So, how do emotions affect food? Energy transference. The transferring of energy into and out of the things that are around you and how they also affect you, you know? So, emotions begin as thoughts in the mind. When you have particular thoughts, you begin to experience the corresponding emotions. Negative thoughts equate to negative emotions. Positive thoughts equate to positive emotions. From the mind to the heart and then into reality. If the thoughts affect the emotions and the emotions affect how you respond in the world, then the thoughts that you're having are going to directly affect the ways in which you move and handle cooking the food, no matter how simple the recipe. Negative emotions will project outward into the food. A frazzled mind, a worrying mind, a sad or angry mind will change the taste of the food in a way that seasoning cannot. No matter how many times you've cooked a plate for breakfast, no matter thousands of times you've made your French toast sticks, your eggs, your bacon, etc., 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 you being in a negative mind state is going to become noticeable in every portion of that plate. When you're cooking for others, everybody is going to be able to taste that as well. You can't beat a plate that's been made with love. You can't change a plate that's been made out of anger or out of hatred. When I say that it affects the plate and it changes the way it tastes, and seasoning can't do anything about that, it's because it's been penetrated into the actual structure of the food, you know? The seasoning, you know, at that point, the seasoning is just something that you're smelling, you know? Whether you taste it or not, if you're putting shitty emotions into the food that you're cooking, if you're allowing yourself to remain in a shitty space, you know, the food's gonna taste like shit. And like I said, everybody's going to be able to notice it. I'm looking down because I've got notes written out, so that's why I'm looking down. And it sounds like I'm reading something. It's because I actually took the time to write out the notes for these things. So just work with me. So you must begin to work to clear yourself emotionally before you attempt cooking. You can do this by cleansing the space, which is, you know, wiping the countertops down, cleaning the kitchen itself, doing the dishes, cleaning out old food. You can take the time to journal out the thoughts that you're having. You can also set the vibe in the kitchen, that the type of music that makes your soul smile, you know? There's also a case in which, and hear me out, there's also a case in which somebody can gain a change in mood because they're cooking. And something like that is going to lean more into that this is actually the work that their soul wants them to do. So it could be a case where somebody says, you know, even though they're in a bad state, they choose to cook because they know that the process of cooking is going to make them feel better. So it is like that is their own personal way of alchemizing how they feel. And it's not that that energy is being transferred into the food. They're able to alchemize how they feel within themselves, like internally first, by doing the thing that makes them happy. No different than somebody, it's no different than journaling out the emotions, creating artwork to sort of get yourself out of that space of confusion, anger, sadness, and low vibratory feelings. Cleaning the kitchen is a powerful action that equates to banishing in preparation for a ritual, in which this case the ritual would be considered cooking. Negative emotions can also cause others to not be able to enjoy the food that you spent your precious time creating, because it'll begin to harm their own aura. You're making and creating food in an angry mindset, and now an hour after you guys have finished eating, you're trying to figure out why everybody in the room is ready to fight somebody, or all they want to do is sit and argue. It was like, well, they've consumed all of those feelings thanks to the chef. So when you want the people that you're around to have a good time, and you're the person that's cooking for them, make sure you're having a good time in the kitchen. You see what I'm saying? When you allow yourself the space to relax before you begin cooking, you are telling the universe, I am ready to receive instructions for the creation of this meal. And from there, you're graced with the knowledge of the divine chef that dwells within you. The divine chef is an aspect of you that knows all the recipes. It's like you put out a vision to make something, and it's going to bring that information to you. It knows exactly how to cook the food. It knows exactly what ingredients to put in the pot and when. It is a force that guides you as you are cooking. No different than a higher self that guides you through your life so that you're making the decisions you need to be making. So, love in cooking now. Love is one of the most powerful ingredients that can be added into a dish. Love, whether for cooking, for food, as in love for cooking, a love for food, or a love for those that you're feeding, enhances the quality of the food. How does love affect you as a chef? Well, love is the highest vibration that one can allow themselves to be in, and it takes a lot less effort to make things happen in life when that essence is filling your being. Love allows ease, meaning that the ritual of cooking now takes on a fluid movement as if you are dancing in the kitchen. A loving and peaceful state of mind allows you to access the information of the divine chef within you that has knowledge of all recipes and ingredients necessary for what you wish to create. Cooking is going to be referenced as dancing throughout the book that I've written, because, and I'll speak about it in another section as well, but cooking itself takes on a rhythm. The sounds of cooking, the crackling of food frying, the rumbling of water boiling, all of that is considered music. And it's important that rather than allowing yourself to be overwhelmed by it, you listen to all of these sounds as if it's music. That way you understand where the food is at in the process of cooking. So rather than frantically sitting over a pot, stirring it, when you probably need to just leave it alone, it allows you to remain relaxed as you're cooking. So you can stand off to the side for a little bit while everything's doing what it does. You see what I'm saying? For people that have children, You can pay your kids a little bit more attention knowing that the food is, you don't have to worry so much about the food. So love does not worry. And before I get into this section really quick, love does not worry is a phrase that I actually picked up from listening to Whitney Houston in the kitchen. I had like it was like her greatest hits just kind of playing. And as I was listening, it was like, love doesn't worry. Love does not worry about the outcome. Love does not worry even about what to do. When you actually love something, you let it do what it needs to do. And you give it the time and space to develop into what it is supposed to become, rather than trying to force your hand on it so that it becomes what you want it to become. Worrying is a very, very low vibrational space to allow yourself to be in, because it comes from a place of doubting yourself and not believing that you have what it takes to bring your vision into reality. So, loving something releases you from the worry that something bad may happen to it, because you only want and wish for the best to occur. Worrying about if the food will come out okay, worrying about if the food will be liked or enjoyed, worrying about not being able to cook the food right, all of these are actually negative thoughts that reflect disbelief in oneself. When you allow yourself to love the process of cooking, and you allow yourself to become fully involved in it, cooking becomes easier to do. The process of cooking turns into something that symbolizes dancing, and you go smoothly from one ingredient to the next, one pot to the next, and you allow the food to do what it does best in the pot that you placed it in. Love in the kitchen makes everything easier. Being relaxed makes everything easier, okay? Worrying will have you frantically trying to do things that don't need to be done. Remember that. So, now we come to channeling in the kitchen. So, now that you've cleared yourself emotionally, gotta be relaxed in the kitchen. You gotta be relaxed to receive any type of information from the ethers, from your soul, from your ancestors. You have to be relaxed, and you have to be generating positive thoughts that lead to positive emotions to keep yourself in a high vibratory state and state of mind. So, being confident in the kitchen, being at peace with yourself and at ease, relaxed in the kitchen, being in a space of love, this allows you to receive the information necessary for guiding you as you're cooking whatever the dish is. I'm talking something as simple as making a goddamn peanut butter and jelly sandwich, You don't need to be picking up the biggest knife in the world just to slather some peanut butter on a piece of bread, and you don't need to dump the whole can of jelly onto the bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll get, no matter how simple it is, you will receive the guidance for it. So, channeling in the kitchen is actually the main goal when it comes to cooking and experimenting in the kitchen. Channeling allows you to have access to information without consciously knowing how to bring about the desired result. Though there's a requirement to channeling, positive thoughts that generate positive emotions. This allows you to be calm and relaxed while being open to receiving information from the divine chef that exists within you. Allowing the universe to experiment. The thing is, the universe is always working to figure out the ways in which a particular result can manifest. And you are one of the vessels that allows a result to be made manifest. Sometimes we may get a particular taste in our mouth. An idea may come about of what to eat for dinner, or you might be missing, or even you might be missing particular ingredients. The reason I'm saying missing certain ingredients is because sometimes you need to be put in a position to see if you can figure out what else to do. And it's not you that's being put in that position. The universe recognizes, hey, something's missing, but let's see if either the same thing can come about or something new can be created. Are we going to work to figure out how we can replace certain sauces, or can we look in our kitchen and realize that we can make it on our own? You know what I'm saying? Or do we just not need it at all? The universe is going to use you to find a solution for the task at hand. It is also important not to be closed off mentally, because you never know where you may receive inspiration from. This inspiration is a route that is asking to be taken and unveiled in the kitchen, because you never know who may enjoy it or what you may learn from it. Inspiration can come from anywhere at all. It can be a simple idea that you have that, just kind of pops into your mind. It could be, oh, hey, like my mom used to make this, parent used to make this, whoever raised you, like, used to make this at home. Maybe I can try that myself. You could be walking through the grocery store and you see the, bits and the labels that are on the boxes. And it's like, okay, maybe I can try and make that at home by myself rather than buying it. Cooking with ancestors. For those who delve into working with their ancestors or spirit guides, cooking can actually be used ritualistically to connect with them. Cooking consists of all 4 elements: a source of heat, which would be fire, the stove top, the oven; water, the water that's within the food, your own emotional state, and even boiling, so cooking with water; earth, which would be the food, herbs and spices, as well as the pots and pans. When I say pots and pans, I'm kind of specifically speaking on like cooking with like iron, cooking with clay pots. But like a pot and pan, it's a physical element that's going to represent the earth self. And air, which would be your mental state, the kind of thoughts that you're having while you're cooking, and the smoke and steam that's also coming from the food as well. So it also requires a banishment process, which would be cleaning before, during, and after. And the kitchen itself becomes a purified space to do works in, like a sanctuary or like sitting at an altar. So the kitchen therefore becomes a place where ancestors in spirit, God, universe, however you want to slice it, can directly communicate with you. Some people receive a lot more information when they're by water. People receive information by staring into fire. People receive information by being out in nature. It's storming outside, or it's really windy. Receiving information telepathically, or just getting psychic impressions. Because all of these 4 elements exist there, it's very easy to begin hearing your ancestors, hearing your spirit guides, hearing whatever deity that you work with. It's very easy to begin hearing them. Me particularly, it doesn't take much for me to turn on the sink and start hearing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the water is just running. And it's like, Brandon, like whispers. Reaching in the cabinet, it's just like, don't Don't try to clean this pot that way. Clean it like this. Don't think you about to start doing anything without cleaning this kitchen. It's like shit like that. So, where am I at? The saying that just season until your ancestors say stop. That's a very real thing. It's not like, oh, you think that some people just kind of say things on social media, and it's like a joke, but no, it's, you collectively have a lot of people that are saying like, I just kind of season and I know when there's enough seasoning in it. And that is it actually could be your ancestors or your soul saying like, yeah, this is how much seasoning is supposed to go up inside here. Cooking does have a particular formula. Foods do have to be cooked certain ways, you know what I'm saying? You don't just use sea salt for seasoning every single time. You can use sea salt to help get rid of water. Use sea salt to enhance the other seasonings. You see what I'm saying? So some people have an ancestor that during their entire life, they stood over top of a stove. They sat and chilled up in the kitchen and did nothing but cook for the entire family. And that ancestor possesses a lifetime's worth of recipes and experience with cooking, stovetop, and baking. And that ancestor is waiting for you to work with them and ask, hey, what do I need to do next? So that's everything right there. That's everything. In order to reach a level where you're able to begin channeling in the kitchen, you have to allow yourself to relax by getting rid of all of the negative thoughts that you're having beforehand. Love in cooking. Love is the highest vibratory, state of mind that you can be in. And it is one of the greatest ingredients that will enhance the quality of the food that you're cooking. Cooking and being in the kitchen in general requires you to be relaxed. This is a place you come to where whatever is going on out there only exists out there. It does not exist in the kitchen. The kitchen is an area of the house that exists outside of the space and time where your problems exist. In order for you to do your best work in the kitchen, it is imperative that you approach it in the correct mind state. The mind state you are in will 100% affect the food that you cook. There are two main goals in the kitchen that we want to accomplish. One, to make great food to enjoy, and two, to channel our inner divine chef to bring about new recipes that get added into our library of meals to cook at home. Because all of that is going to help making cooking so much easier. By being in a positive mind state, by including love in the process of cooking, you can accomplish and create any meal possible. Access your inner divine chef, as well as your ancestors and spirit guides, to make working in the kitchen that much more easy and efficient. The Intuitive Chef, right now it's available as an ebook. I'm still going to talk about this book. I'm going to talk about this book. It's a short guide on how to make cooking an easier experience. It's written for the person that loves to cook, for the person that's just learning how to cook, or for the person that might need some motivation to get into the kitchen. Everybody and anybody can take a bit from each of the chapters and actively apply what they've learned into their lives. Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. It's my name, but this is how it's spelled. So it's at BRVNDYN. That's BRVNDYN _. It's Brandon, but the A is replaced with the letter V. You know, up there, I'm gonna be uploading cooking videos. I've already got quite a bit so far. I do eat plant-based, vegan, you know, however you want to slice it up. I believe I have some videos that actually talk about things to replace certain foods with, because you know I'm all about cooking from scratch. So if it, you know, like if you can buy it about the store, you can learn how to cook it at home. I believe it is very important to pay attention to the things that you're eating and to heal yourself from within. I definitely believe it is important to pay attention to the ingredients list. You know, like the smaller the list, the better. The more words on the list that you're familiar with and that you can pronounce, the better. If you can find it out in nature, all the better, all the better, all the better. You don't need to be eating nothing that was made up in a lab. The only lab you need to be making shit up in is the goddamn kitchen at your house, all right? It's the only place you need to be doing science experiments at. And let me actually get into another portion before I close this off. When it comes to love and cooking, and when it comes to eating out at restaurants, if you're going to eat at a place that's making food, go to a place that's run by people that love to cook. Go to that small business where, you know, it's a family run little stand. Excuse me. It's like a family run stand, a family run food truck, you know, and they all love to cook. They all here to serve the people that's around them. They all here to serve the community. Don't be hopping up in no goddamn McDonald's or no Wendy's thinking you about to be eating the best food of your life. Them people there don't want them jobs. They just there to get some money, all right? And there's a big difference between somebody that loves to cook and a motherfucker that's just there to make some money. That's just there to get their coin and go home, all right? You know, you gonna show up to your job however you show up to your job. But you don't want the person, you don't want to be consuming another person's emotions. You know what I'm saying? You know, now you in a mind state where the only thing you can do is get up and make some money, or you rolling up out of there mad, angry, and upset at the cashier, and now you eating your food in a frantic state, you know, trying to hurry up and huff it all down because you're so angry. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. You know, treat your body right. Treat your body in a loving and kind manner. Treat the food that you cook in a loving and kind manner, because you will appreciate that. Your stomach will appreciate that. The people around you that you're cooking for will appreciate that. All right? So that's what I got for y'all. You know, love is one of the greatest things that you can put into your food. You know, it enhances the quality the way seasoning can't. Hatred fucks up the food and puts it in a place where seasoning can't help it. All right? Be mindful of yourself first and foremost before you even think about picking up a pot. All right? Before you think about opening up that fridge to make something, be mindful of how you feeling. Get rid of those feelings and clean that goddamn kitchen before you start cooking something too.